So now what do I do? Well, I guess there's only one thing. There's something I'd like to know. Are you real? Can you feel?
Hi friends, I'm Prairie Vintage. My name's Linda. I'm an energy intuitive reader here on YouTube, and I use spirit, my intuition, the tarot to communicate energies to you guys, fabulous viewers. If you guys are new to this channel, welcome. I'm so glad you guys finally found me. I hope you guys do resonate with the readings. And for those of you guys who are returning, I'm so blessed, I'm so grateful, and I cannot wait to get into this reading for you guys today. We're looking at the partial solar eclipse, which is also coming with this new moon. And this is September 21st, where I'm geographically located. Okay, but all my readings are timeless. So if you're outside of that window of posting, then this is the energy that is surrounding you or fast approaching in regards to whenever you tap into this reading or listen to this reading. Okay, for the rest of you guys who have clicked here at the time of the upload, this is the energy coming in, and this is going to be looking at your energy from more of a spiritual sort of perspective. Okay, so I do want to issue a trigger warning of sorts here, and I'll get into the disclaimer shortly. But for those of you guys who want to go straight away to the reading, I will put timestamps below. These are the decks I'm using, and so I'll put a link right here to the deck flip throughs if you do want to take a look at these specific decks I'm using. And for those of you guys who want to go straight away to picking your card or your pile, this is a pick a pile or pick a card. So based on your intuition, you'll select whichever one feels right, and then you can go straight away to that channeled message. Now, I do suggest if it's your first time to this channel or your first time to tarot in general, if it is your first time to this type of a reading, that you listen to this disclaimer, because I do not want to lead you astray. So I am reading exactly as I see the energy and the cards, using my intuition, and the cards as divination. I use my intuition solely, mostly. Okay, and the cards are kind of a guide here towards what it is that I'm communicating, but only you know what your sort of truth is. Okay, so do not let a tarot reader dictate anything. Nothing's set in stone. We're not predicting anything. There is free will and conscious choice. And so as long as you are conscious of the choices and decisions you're making, then you can sort of change your timeline or jump timelines or make decisions that might shift the course of where your energy is directed. And this is why we sort of listen to the tarot. Okay, so if your tarot reader isn't providing you with liberation, freedom, if you feel stuck, if you feel like you're not progressing, if you feel less free, if you feel more burdened or more closed off or less like you're opening states of consciousness, then I would either suggest that you are not using the tarot practice in a way that is helpful. Okay, or your tarot reader might not be the right fit for you. I don't know which it is, only you know, but a tarot reading should never make you feel limited, stuck, and it shouldn't perpetuate any state of feeling like you were trapped or bound by anything. Okay, so any spiritual teacher, any spiritual concept you might be adopting should allow you to feel free and should feel liberating, and it could be quite triggering though. Okay, so that doesn't mean it doesn't include triggers. If you're triggered, I always say good, good, because now we found a spot that we can dive into and free yourself from. So triggers are catalysts towards things that need to be looked at, healed, and sometimes we're not ready to open that door. Okay, and if we're not ready to open that door, then nobody can sort of force it open, and then of course we'll hate that teacher, that reader, that practice. Okay, but I do challenge yourself to understand that if there is triggering anger, any sort of resistance, that is stemmed from within, because anything that doesn't mean anything would be indifference, and we wouldn't have to feel the need to get triggered or any of this sort of stuff. Okay, so you can leave all your comments. It helps with my algorithm. And of course, you can question everything, because this is how we grow, through curiosity, through question. There is no right and wrong. And there is just being very curious for the greatest, highest good of love. Now, I do know the difference between love and ego. And so if there is a whole lot of ego, we can make allowance for the ignorance of our brother and sister, although I have little patience for those who are stuck in ignorance and are just sort of trying to make everyone else's life a living hell, okay? But I do love you nonetheless, although, like I say, little patience, meaning I don't need to engage myself any further, okay, of my energy here. So my commitment to you is to help free you, to help shed light on dark places here that might be misunderstood by yourself, okay, or just in the shadow. And this is a lot of work here. So I do want to thank you. Thank you for your healing. Thank you for your curiosity. Thank you for your desire to stretch yourself or guide yourself towards a greater truth, that of Source Creator, okay, which can help heal the collective. So thank you so much for being here. I do love you guys very much. And with all that out of the way, we will pick the cards for this pick a card reading, and I will see you guys in that segment. Hello, gorgeous angels. Let us pull the 3 options for this reading. All right, Spirit, for the collective tuned into this reading, for this new moon and this partial solar eclipse, what sort of spiritual truths are being revealed regarding the collective's journey that is wanting to be expressed in today's reading? What is being revealed regarding the collective's spiritual journey with this partial solar eclipse and this new moon energy, Spirit? Thank you so much. We're so blessed to be here. Option 1, option 2, and for option 3, Spirit. Okay, so we got 2 cards. Are they both? Yes. Okay, they're both part of the same. So, gorgeous angel, I'll get this out of the light. In fact, let me turn this light off, although it makes it difficult for me. You'll see them better, I think. So sit with these 3 options, okay? Now I will reveal these for those of us needing more guidance towards our pile, okay? But at some point you're going to be pulled to one of these 3 options. It's going to have the messaging for you, okay? I do suggest you go listen to the disclaimer, okay? But if you are here and you feel called to one of these, I will put a timestamp below and it will take you directly to your pick. So let's reveal these options. Option number 1. We have the card of Mars, number 5, with force. Option number 2, we have the card of 32, 8th house, endings and beginnings. Option number 3, 2 cards here, okay? So we have Venus, number 4, with love, and 30 with the 6th house routine. Okay, I know there's 2 here, so might be not as sort of easy to pick, but the best way to sort of tune in is to close your eyes and then open your eyes, and whichever sort of section card you're pulled to will most likely have the messaging for you. Okay, so it's absolutely fine to be drawn to multiple, meaning there's different aspects. We're not sort of just 2-dimensional beings. Okay, we have many different aspects, so we could be looking at different aspects of your energy. Okay, energy around you, people around you, situations around you, spiritual truths going on around you, illusions going on around you, okay, beliefs that you might be holding. So we don't know what we're going to see, so keep an open mind, but the reading should resonate. If it doesn't resonate, doesn't make sense beyond your level of consciousness or understanding, It is not your reading. No need to make it fit. This is a collective place, meaning there's a bunch of people who come through here. And so these messages aren't going to be everybody's energy frequency. Okay, so I'll leave you guys with this. I'll put a timestamp below. I'll take you directly to your pick, and I will see you at your pick. Hello, gorgeous angel. Pile number one. I had to turn my lights back on. So if you do get a glare, I apologize, but it's easier for me to channel. You guys picked the card of Mars, number 5. Okay, so we're going to lay these cards out. I always suggest you sit through the card layout because this is the best way for you to tune into your intuition. And so I always have people asking about how to develop intuition, how they could do readings, and they kind of want to skip a long way and sort of go on a fast track to reading cards or develop their intuition. This is how you do it. There's no easy way, okay, unless you're sort of touched by the finger of God immediately, you know, maybe you have many lifetimes and your intuition is totally on point, okay, but this is the best way to develop your intuition. Everyone has intuition, but everyone could have a certain level of distortion, cloudiness, whatever, okay? So if you want to develop your intuition, I do suggest you sit through this card layout. What you'll see, feel, or hear to determine whether this is your pile, and so you could put it out to spirit. I want to see this, I want to know this, you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, and this will either resonate or not resonate. If it doesn't resonate, it's not your pile. Okay, or you can go click on the channeled message. So we ask spirit, what is it that pile 1 for this collective energetically with this partial solar eclipse, this new moon is experiencing in their spiritual journey? And what are they needing to know, understand, or see clearly? What might still be hidden? Okay, and whatever this is coming forward as a message from the divine for right here, right now. All my readings are timeless, meaning if you clicked outside of the eclipse, outside of the new moon, this message could still be your message, okay? So we have Mars, which is the ruling planet for Aries and for Scorpio energy. It could be prominent in your birth chart here, okay? But Mars is about assertive action or like being in line with walking and talking, speaking our truth, okay? So we also have calcification, and this is the number 64, which is the number 10. 10 is all about completions, ends of cycle, transformation. Some of you guys might have been pulled to pile number 2. I haven't done pile number 2, but it's coming through here as an energy that it may have an overlap. Okay, you might resonate with both. These colors are very synchronistic, and getting a lot of root chakra, a lot of solar plex, or sorry, sacral chakra. Okay. Even some solar plexus with this flame here as well. So calcification. And we have suppression. Yeah. Express, don't suppress. Authenticity is freeing. It says reassurance and repression and censorship. Okay. So this would be the opposite. And look at the colors here. I'm getting very similar sort of energy here. Wow. Okay. We have boar. So the boar is, it could be talking about a very stubborn sort of personality, you know. It could be this more like leaning towards this emperor type energy, which is this Aries type energy. Okay, but in the shadow, it's like an emperor in reverse, really, you know. It could be that we are too much in our own way, too stuck in our own way, too stubborn, too fixed, you know, too heavy with this calcification, similar energy, okay. And then we have this shark. So what's the shark? The shark is always on offensive, you know, and we only see like the little pointy thing. What's it called? The fin? No, I don't know what it's called of the shark. We don't see it. It's lurking under the shadow here, but the big part of the shark is sort of swimming in the waters. So I know the lighting's not the greatest. So we have Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces energy coming through, and Aries, Scorpio. I don't know if I mentioned with the Mars. And then we have the planet of Uranus, and it says an unusual example of. a different way of looking at and an unexpected change. So the Uranus is like tower energy. It's the great awakener. It could be tied to the card of judgment, the card of the tower in the tarot. Okay. And then we have Sagittarius expand. So the number 9 pulling through fruition, completion, fulfillment. Number 9 is wisdom. It's also closure and completion. Okay, which we had with the number 10. Which one was 10 here? Okay, was that 10? Yeah. And then we have the number 5. So 5 is all about conflict, loss, rebuild. So we did have some tower. Okay, so we might have some rebuild here. Something about change, but the Sagittarius would, encompass this Mars energy, although Saturn, or I don't know why I said Saturn. Interesting. Sagittarius ruling planet is Jupiter. Okay, but I am feeling similar energy that's coming off this Sagittarius. It's like the go after it and take action. Life force energy, and it says expand. Okay, now I talked about Saturn, which was a slip. I don't believe in any slips during channeling. And so Saturn is like this calcification sort of energy in a way. Not necessarily, okay, because Saturn isn't stuck, but Saturn is very heavy. It's kind of boorish in some way. But it's like there are times where we need to be more solid and fixed and, and then there are times where we have to be more flexible and expand and tear down what we know. So I'm getting the Sagittarius is tying back to this little Ace of Wands here. Okay, and then we have 21, Mercury, Venus. So Mercury is the ruling planet for Gemini, Virgo. Venus is the ruling planet for Taurus, Libra. If you were called to the third pile, I do believe Venus was one of the cards there, so there could be a message there for you as well. Okay, if you were called. So 21 and 3. 3 is all about growth, relationships, initial success, creativity and joy. Okay, it's also about communication, self-expression. So we have suppression. And remember what I said about Mars. It's like walking and talking and taking action on our truth. And so even though Mercury might be the voice, I see it as the action that sort of expresses itself in line with authenticity, whether it be through words, through action, through a doing of sorts. Okay, and Venus, as we know, is the planet of love. Okay, it could be how others sort of see us. Venus for me is always tied for me with the first house. Okay, even though Mars is the first house and Venus is the second for me. The way I channel, which is not maybe normal, I don't know what normal is like the Venus represents our self-appearance, It's like our first impression. It's our identity, it's our approach. Okay, so we have divine union here with double 9 and another 9 here. Okay, so you might be seeing a lot of 9s. 99 is a master number, being the change you wish to see and helping humanity to release what no longer works. Okay, 9s are about fruition, completion, fulfillment, wisdom, closure, okay, service to humanity. Now, 9 could be representing Hermit or Moon in the tarot. So we have some Virgo and some Cancer energy. And it says divine union, universal inner connection, universal compassion, self-presence, inner peace, unconditional love, acceptance of conflicts, which we were getting the number 5. Okay, type 9, the peacemaker, instinctive center between forgetting and asserting oneself. And we have the solar plexus. Now I'm super hot, so I have to take off my shirt or my sweater, but I'm not going to pause, so you can skip ahead. All right. Super hot in here. So divine union. Interesting. I'm going to hold this up so you guys can see. We're seeing clouds. 2 clouds for me is the number 5. Okay. And the white represents the authentic self, tying this back to the Mars, taking action and truth and speaking our truth based on authenticity would be to face some form of suppression here, something to do with the emotions potentially here, Alrighty, now we have appeasement, 91 and 1. So it says tolerance of benevolence, open-mindedness. So that's the opposite of the spore energy, letting go. Okay, that's the opposite of this sort of calcification. Gentleness, multiple truths, imperfection, acceptance. So 1 is all about new beginnings, potential opportunities. It's Fool energy, which is Aquarius. It's also Magician energy, which is this Mercury. Okay, so we have some Gemini and some Virgo energy pulling through again. Yeah, 1 is all about independence. It's about will. It's about beginnings. It's about pioneering. It's about individuality. So appeasement, it says mystical union, growth level. So 2 mystical unions between control and letting go, between forgetting and asserting oneself. Okay. Even the shark would be asserting oneself. So being untroubled, another 9. Lots of 9s here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 9s. Another 9. Wow, lots of 9s. Okay, so being untroubled, it says need for harmony, stubbornness, that's the spore I was telling you about, inertia, anesthesia, self-forgetfulness. Didn't we have something here? I thought there was something here. Self-presence. Okay. I don't know where I thought I felt this. Okay, so self-forgetfulness and then conflict avoidance is so interesting because we have the 5 showing up as your main significator here. Okay, and so there might be this thing we're needing to confront here, but there could be this avoidance of this and the suppression of this thing. Okay, we have 2 cards in the solar plexus here with the number 9. It says type 9, the peacemaker instinctive center between forgetting and asserting oneself. Again, the veil of ignorance. Okay, and then we have wanting to be right. That's this boar energy. Okay, 29 or the number 11. 11 is a very spiritual number, divine inspiration, synchronicity, the encouragement to keep going. So that would be this sort of Sagittarius Ace of Wands energy. But if we're confronted with this calcification energy, how do we keep going? Okay, with the number 11, wanting to be right. These are the blind spot oracle. And then we also have your motives and number 4. So 4 is this sort of calcification energy, okay, that I'm feeling here. It's structure, it's foundations, it's stability, it's planning. It is a very stable, grounded energy, although in the shadow, number 4 could be quite stuck, fixed, not willing to take any risks or move out of its comfort zone. Okay, so we have more Aries energy and some Scorpio energy pulling through with this number 4. All right, 4 is about material reality as well as problem solving. Okay, and we are faced with problem with 5 because that is conflict and change. Okay, and so we have Uranus coming through twice, and this is why I use cards of sort of similar houses and planets to either reinforce certain messages here. And so to get Uranus twice is quite interesting here. We're going to have to take this into consideration. But like I said, Uranus is the ruling planet for Aquarius. So I'll let you guys read this. It's hard to see. I'll turn the light off. Okay, I'm going to turn it back on because it's hard for me to see. So, interesting. All right. Put your tarot over here because we most likely will probably be pulling on some tarot as well. Let me sit with this energy and I will begin to channel. You can click straight away on the channeled message. Okay, pile number 1. This message comes through very frequently on my channel here, you know. It's almost to the point where I'm saying, so what? But it's maybe not a so what to you. Okay, now, like I always say, this could be your energy, the energy of someone you're dealing with, something around you. Okay, we could be so freaking blind, not even realizing this is our own energy. And that's maybe why it keeps coming through, because we're like, wow, like, I don't know. Well, I don't know what we're doing here. Okay. So just have a very open mind and possibility that this could be your energy. Is there a way that this is your energy and you're just not seeing it or understanding it? Is it possible? Is it possible here? Okay. And I'll continue to read what I see here, but there's only so many times I could say the same thing. And maybe because I have this bazillion videos, I'll say the exact same thing here. This message is super clear. Whosever energy that I'm channeling here, which I'll read as yours, doesn't have to be, okay, is an energy of somebody who is faced with change. Now, we don't like change inherently because change means undoing and releasing certain things that we might find very comforting, or we might just find it as a stable place. So we gain security from this thing. And that is settling in essence, okay? Because I feel like what Spirit is really talking about is there being a very, very, very aligned thing here for you, if this is your energy. And it's so aligned here that it's going to be the night and day compared to where you are here, okay? But I feel like we are staying put, and you could come up with all the reasons why we're staying put. And the longer we sort of stay put, the heavier it becomes for us to make movement, because now we've come up with even more excuses or reasons why we got to stay put, or more habits of why we got to have routines and do the thing that we do. Okay, so I feel like there's a calling here of a great truth. You being in line, walking, talking your truth. This could be career. This could be relationship. This could be your spiritual calling. This could be moving to the other side of the universe. This could be something that's been calling you to do. Okay, now I'm still a little unsure here, shark-wise. Okay, but I can say for sure that this energy is sort of covered up with this comfort zone of not wanting to move, and a stubbornness of maybe even being very fixed on the story of who we are and why we need to be there. Okay, like why we're there. And I think what the key here, or what we're needing to maybe understand and see, is through the illusion of that story specifically. It could be many different sort of reasons if you want. So I'm hearing a radio outside and it's distracting me. Okay, just give me a second. I'm going to pause this because I hear someone listening to radio and it's distracting me. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. It's very distracting. So it was like a radio voice that was just like keeping me fixed on it. And so everything that happens in a reading could definitely be pointing to something, you know. We could highly be distracted by something in our environment, which is keeping us in a state of, I don't know if it's fixation, or maybe we're like just trying to avoid, you know, like something that might seem threatening in some way. Because I don't know necessarily that you feel like the shark or you're avoiding a shark. But at the end of the day, and we'll pull tarot and this might become very clear, what I do feel there's an avoidance here of for sure is anything that would require us to do something different than what we're doing. And whatever we are doing is misaligned right now. And so the best way for us to sort of cope with this acceptance of settling would be to justify this and suppress truth. And those stories could say, that's not for me anyway, or I wouldn't be good at that, or it would never happen, or I don't have this thing, or I would need that thing, and maybe eventually you'll come, and all of those things, which one is not true, or we might even try to convince ourselves it's not for us, okay, which also is not true. And so I feel like this is the thing that Spirit is wanting us to question from a place of being unbiased and sort of neutral and true when it comes to answering our questions. Now, I got to be careful when I say what is true, because we might latch onto what we think is true. Okay. And it's coming from a different motive. Okay, because I feel like your high self is coming through with a truthful alignment for you, okay, that is actually aligned with your greatest and highest good. And then your egoic solar plexus idea or identity story of why you need to stay put or do what you're doing is at the expense of you aligning yourself with the greater truth. So I feel like there is a cost of staying put here. And I feel like there could be an understanding that you have and say, I already know that this thing, I'm passing up on it, or that what I am doing. I'm very clear on what I'm doing, it's a conscious choice. And the message here is so clear. It's like, if you are still doing the same thing and not letting the tower fall and not expanding, then actually you don't know. That's what it's saying. You don't know. And so there's this like boorish energy. Okay, there's this boorish energy in regards to, and I'm not saying I know, and so listen to me. I'm reading the cards here and telling you what it's telling you. It's like you're your worst enemy here. And like Dr. Phil says, you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? And so there's this happy, peaceful, aligned self that doesn't require a fight, a struggle, a carrying, a lifting, a burden, a challenge. Okay, but I feel like we might see that the big challenge to get there is like something we can't overcome. And it's like, I just have this aversion to change, an aversion to challenge, an aversion to disassembling something here that I'm attached to. And so we have to really look at the attachment itself and say, where is this? Why is there a belief that I must be attached to this thing? Okay, so I feel like for all of you guys with this Sagittarius expand and this little Ace of Wands, you have been awakened. There's a catalyst in your world that's creating some great significant change with this Uranus, and it's coming from within you. And I feel like maybe in any other instance, it's like I could just sort of avoid, delay, dance around, prolong, tuck away, not see, and stay put. But with this Uranus energy, there's an unavoidable change happening here from within you. And it's going to happen whether you're ready or not. And so Spirit wants you to be as ready as you can be for dealing with shifts and changes, because one thing is certain, and that is change. Change is the only constant, and change is going to happen. And so we can either go kicking and screaming, completely miserable and suffering, or open to what the divine wants to bring upon us and collaborate and work with spirits in order to expand. So I feel right now your energy is going towards the past. Okay, now we could say, no, I'm in the present moment doing what I do, but it's upkeeping a past story or past version of yourself. And Spirit is asking you and showing you that the only way for you to get aligned is to move forward, is to let towers fall and false stories or ideas of self fall away so there could be change. And I feel like we might be very fixated with this born, this open-mindedness, letting go energy, and this very stuck calcification of an experience of difficult, heavy energy that doesn't allow us to shift and break free. Okay, so something we're not wanting to see straight on or accept or admit. And the sooner we sort of accept that doesn't mean we have to take action on it right away. But I feel like, I don't know what the 12 steps is, but one of them definitely is just admitting some form of a truth here. Okay, but we might be so threatened by this truth because once I admit it, or once I acknowledge, it's like it's going to be the death of me. This is what it feels like. And now this is untrue. So I don't know, but I do feel this involves emotions. I mean, we have Venus here, so it could involve the way you engage with people around you or how people see you. You know, this could involve a relationship. It could be romantic relationships. It could be your professional life. This could be your career, your family life. This could be your identity of how people know you. And it's like, this is how they see me or this is how they know me. And so I walk and talk this way and have been, and this is my identity. And then it's like, and now I feel threatened, or that identity feels threatened. But the truth is, you're not your identity. And a part of your past has given you an experience. But I feel like if you become attached to that, in which you experience and identify as that, this Uranus energy is going to be very, very painful, because it'll feel like mega death. You know, mega death. I just seen the actual metal band here, so it could be confirmation for someone who likes that band. But I'm seeing, a mega death here, because I feel like we go down in a way here with that identity, and it feels like more painful than need be. You know. But Spirit is assuring here that there is this internal bliss, peace, union that comes with this acceptance of a great truth. And it frees you from so much of the confusion that's going on right now. It's like 90% of the issue or the burden or the discomfort, which could be resulting in arguments. It could be resulting in discomfort. It could be resulting in nightmares. It could be resulting in feeling burdened, heavy, stress, all of this stuff, having to be guarding or having to go, or having to take guesses in the dark, you know, like sort of things. It's like it's more of that than going into the unknown, which you would think would be a guess in the dark, but it's actually not dark. Like Spirit is showing that it's actually where the clarity sits. It's actually super, super aligned here. So, and it's freeing. Like, it's so freeing. Like, look at this Jesus-like figure, super free. Sorry, it's blurry. I can't get it unblurred. So, I don't know how to help you, really, at the end of the day. Let's see, Spirit, what is this message then for pile 1? What is it that pile 1 is needing to know with this partial solar eclipse and this new moon about this stagnation and this call to action, this embracing of a new self? What is it that pile 1 is, too many, is needing to, this keeps popping out. Oh, these are still coming out. It's the same ones, and I feel that one. Okay, let's see. Pile 1, let's see. So I'm not reading bottom of the deck in reverse, and we have this judgment energy, which I said was this Uranus energy, the Aeon. I'm going to turn the light off so you guys can see. Although my eyes are going to be hard to adjust. Okay, so we have the Aeon. Judgment. So we all are familiar with the trumpets blowing and the judgment where we could see. And from the judgment, we can either close out a cycle with the World card, is the next card in the Major Arcana, or we could repeat cycle by going back to a Fool and doing the same thing over and over, same lessons. Okay, do we close out? Do we close out this sort of experience? And I think you're at the pivotal point here with this new moon of like being faced with closing something out consciously, because I feel like you're seeing everything, but you're still avoiding. And so you have everything you need to know to make decisions. And I think we're just not wanting to accept or see what is there. And so that needs to be uncovered and saying, what is it about this move or this acceptance or this understanding that is making me uncomfortable, that would require of me that I'm not wanting to take part in or accept or see or acknowledge? What is it? Spirit, show me, like show me. I'm ready to know or see. but you have to really want to know or see, because I don't think anyone would avoid purposefully. Oh, I'm just going to pretend and be in ignorance, I'm just going to suppress because I don't really want to. It's like, we don't know we're doing these things. And that's why at the beginning I said, this could be your message. You just might not know you're suppressing and avoiding. And that's why I said, if you are in a situation where you've been in that similar environment, circumstance, upkeeping for some time, it's stagnant, it's stuck, it feels like this calcification, it hasn't required you to expand and to grow, this message is for you. You're being shown something here. You've been catalyzed already with Uranus energy. I don't know if this is a new job, to take on a new project, to engage in a new relationship, to make a major move, to accept some form of action, some great revelation that will change your life forever for the better. Okay, pile number 1. So we have 10 Seiides. So this is the 10 of Cups. Wow. 10 Cups, ultimate emotional fulfillment for self and other. This is the family card. This is the soul family, or the spiritual family, or our like 3D family, living in happiness union. Everyone's happy, fulfilled, the happily ever after. Okay, so 10 Cups. Overabundance of joy here. And then we have the Prince of Wands in reverse. So this is the Knight of Wands in reverse. So not going after, like I said, the Sagittarius energy that was required is suppressed. Okay, the go after it, the fireness to drive after it. So your significator is asking for some action, which would require undoing something or facing something. Okay, it requires a lot of change, and we're sort of saying, I don't want change, or I don't move good with change, or I'd rather stay put, please. And I don't know, maybe we have a false sense of what a 10 Cups is. But like, let's just say, for example, all I've ever experienced was a pinnacle of happiness, and I thought it was this, and I want to stay put there. There's nothing wrong with wanting to sort of stay put, although Spirit is talking about inevitable change, and Spirit is also talking about where you are at is actually not a full potential of happiness here. And so we might be under the illusion of such thing, although I feel like we're seeing clearly. So I'm not quite sure what this message is, and we'll see as it unfolds here, okay? But I do feel there's a held backness and then not moving towards. So we have the 9 of Wands, and it's a strength, okay, and it's in reverse. So 9 of Wands in reverse is an energy of like throwing in the towel. Okay, sometimes I do say it's like surrendering to what is instead of fighting against, but in this case, it's like I just gave up before I got going. And it could be a belief that I'm not good enough, or have enough, or courageous enough, or could face this change, or could withstand the storm, So I'll just bend, or I'll just accept defeat, or I'll tell myself these things that are untrue so I could stay here in the maybe in the warmth, or maybe in the comfort of the non-change. But I feel like it's most likely the universe is going to turn up the discomfort with this number 5, and this calcification after so long of this calcification. It's not pretty. It becomes very fermented and fixed. It's getting this Bohr energy, and so Spirit's trying to light a fire under you to get you to move towards something you've already seen and know. That's going to be your ultimate 10 of Cups here. And it does involve a community, or creating a community, or happiness with other. Okay, so let's see. And we have the universe. So remember what I said, what comes after the Judgment is this World card. Okay, but this world is in reverse. And so what does this mean? This means I'm not ready to close out or let go or accept something in order to finally close it out and move forward to a new. So the new cannot begin when we're still tied with the old. This is kind of like, I use the analogy of being in school, when we're writing our exams, and we are sort of there in that liminal space. But then let's say we just sort of hang out in June, like forevermore, you know? It's like, well, it's like in between exams, and it's like we cannot move on to the next grade. Even though maybe you got your report card, or you know that you would have already passed in some way, and like you're writing your exam to like bump up your grade or whatever. Okay, but the point being, it's like you've done the work. You've learned everything you need to learn. You've seen it. And there could be this dragging of the feet because it's like, whoa, grade 9 is going to be so much harder than grade 10. So I'm just going to keep staying here, you know? But then, like I say, like you could be the 30-year-old sitting in grade 8, and you don't, you know, well, nothing wrong with being abnormal, but this would just reflect something about a belief of self here, that the self isn't ready to accept some form of new beginning, that it isn't embracing something here, that it's already done. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. 3 of Wands, virtue. So what is this? This is exactly it. It's like Spirit saying, get on that ship. The ship is presenting itself to you. It's taking you to your next destination. And when the ship comes, if we're still in the reverse world, it's like we still didn't finish our exam. We just sort of didn't, you know, like we need to just shake hands with this so we can be ready for the ship. And I think the ship is here, or the ship is coming with this new moon, partial eclipse. Like this ship, this is your opportunity. And either you're there at the dock, waiting to get in, you've done all your exams, you've closed this out, okay? And I feel like, I don't know that we're still like, we didn't get on get in the taxi to take us to the docking station. Like there's this liminal space that keeps coming through that you're sitting in. It's between the old that's already done and the new in which it wants to start. And so in this space, there is no learning. In this space, there's calcification. In this space, there's a stubborn self that's sitting there resisting and fighting. And I don't know why, like I said, this shark, like, are we threatened by something? I mean, sharks are, like I said, they swim in the emotions or something that we don't see under the surface. And I don't know if there's an anticipation of something. And we have the Wheel of Fortune. It is your destined thing here, okay? Divine union. The universe is telling you that there's something aligned for you that's very faded. And we're resisting the change. We're resisting the flow. This is literally like the next phase, and we're just suppressing great truths or movement, stunting ourselves. So I just keep repeating myself. I don't know what to tell you. Oppression and 10 of Wands. So honestly, Spirit is also talking about your now environment is heavy. So we might just be really emotionally connected to it, or whatever story we tell ourselves that it is, we need to be there. This is the burden. Okay, oppression, suppression. You are not free. Whoever I'm reading, this energy is not free. You're being oppressed and suppressed. And if your main desire, okay, is to free yourself or be a free, independent being here, because we have this, I don't know, I thought I read something about being independent and free here. I don't know, when I laid the cards, this is sort of what was coming through. There was a need for independence and freedom. Okay, I think that was with I don't know, one of the numbers that kept popping through your reading. Okay, and I feel like you're engaged in the opposite here, okay? 10-10, the world, the judgment, and the Wheel of Fortune is all pointing to something came to a natural conclusion. It's a need for a transformation here. Okay, 6 of Wands. No, 6 of Pentacles, sorry. Success. So Six Pentacles talks about a giving and receiving. Okay, it's a state of really like where we invest, and sometimes we're on this receiving end of whatever the universe is delivering, and sometimes we're on the giving end. So sometimes we're on top of the wheel, and sometimes we're at the bottom of the wheel in the flow state. Okay, but the one thing is flow is constantly happening in a natural state. And so I feel like what Spirit is saying is that there's a natural state here of you receiving from the universe and having to invest. And when we cut off the supply, and I do feel like we're invested in something of the past, it's blocking off blessings from coming in. And so Spirit is really talking about this gets heavier and heavier and heavier. I'm blocking blessings. I'm blocking the flow state. I'm blocking investing in the future or this present moment to build this future happiness. And so I will remain here invested in what this old world has to offer to me. But it's like you've already graduated here, this class, but you're sitting there. It has no more to offer. It just becomes heavier and heavier every year we get older, sitting there in grade 8. Okay, so 7 Pentacles, failure. So 6 to the 7. And in this particular deck, it says failure. 7 Pentacles is a card of patience, investment. It's like the more we sort of nurture and maintenance something, it's going to prove to be fruitful at some point in time. But we might be very, very, very discouraged because we could be invested for quite some time. I feel like Spirit's giving you sort of like, I don't know if you want to call it a warning message so much as it is an acknowledgement here that where you're invested in right now, it is upkeeping a past paradigm of stuckness, oppression, suppression, heaviness that will not produce, and it is blocking abundance. And your abundance is getting on the ship, and your divine high self, whatever you want to call it, Spirit, the energy of this new moon is presenting to you with an opportunity that I feel is already shown itself to you as a catalyst to take action, to speak a truth, and to acknowledge something that you've already been shown in order for you to open the gateway to abundance. But you have to be willing to even just acknowledge to the universe. So this doesn't necessarily mean you have to invest maybe financially. Okay, but energetically, it might be investing by, like, what did I say? Speaking some truth or saying, yes, this is aligned to me. Acknowledging this thing, being in line with the willing to take movement and action in that new direction, rather than clinging and investing in past. So I feel like for you, there is something I'm not hitting. It's the same old message. It's me repeating the same thing. I don't even know if you guys find these useful, because I don't know that you've learned anything new. So Spirit, what's new then? What does pile 1 need to know that's new? First of all, what the frick is with this shark? Can we see what's with the shark in this reading? Clarity on the shark, please. Completion. The 4 of Wands. And it's really standing out, this symbol. And this is Aries. Although looks a little, I don't know. It's looking like Aries, okay? And then we have Venus, so we have the masculine and the feminine. But I was really pulled to the Aries, which would be this Mars energy. Okay, but 4 Wands is our soul tribe. Again, the 10 Cups, like, I don't know, like our family, our community. 10, sorry, not 10. Oh my goodness, this is very tripping me up. 4 Wands and the 10 of Cups talks about family, talks about union and happiness, happily ever after, okay? The 4 Wands is my 1111, which could even signify like your divine counterpart, your twin flame, your union with your high-level soulmate. It's coming together with your soul tribe. It's finding union within self, so it's your divine purpose. Now, interesting that this 4 Wands is shaped like the Wheel of Fortune. which came in reverse. And so I feel like Spirit's really saying that family, that foundation, that stability, that is the wheel of fortune for you. And you're relating or connecting with your wheel of fortune or your stability, family, whatever it is, with something that's actually stunting you. And so there's a new wheel of fortune for you that's more aligned to your destiny, that's flowing, that's in receiving and giving state. Okay. And it is your soul tribe and your community, and it is balanced within self, and it is structured, it is safe, it is secure, it is anchored. Okay. And it's saying with completion here, like you have to complete with the world, you have to shake hands with it. And so I feel like this is the thing that's the threat, is the fact that we haven't acknowledged completion. We haven't shaken hands with the past. We haven't let go. We haven't allowed the wheel to turn. And I think we're just really threatened with saying goodbye. So why are we too fearful to say goodbye? Maybe that's what we need to see. And hopefully we don't have to ever do this reading again for you. Spirit, pile 1. What are they needing to say goodbye to? Why say goodbye? I mean, yes, they have beautiful blessings on the other side, but what is it about this goodbye that's so threatening, challenging, and what are they not seeing? What can we communicate in a way here that's actually going to help? The Emperor. So that's this energy, okay? Aries, empowerment, divine masculine energy. Divine masculine in its highest potential takes action. It does what's right. It's structured. It's orderly. It's of the highest power here, okay? Emperor energy. So we could be playing as an emperor, but we could be in a false state, thinking we're playing the role of an emperor, thinking that we're in the highest potential, thinking we have control or power, and we never really have control because that's an illusion anyway. But the ability to make conscious choice and feel empowered in our world would require us to be in the highest vibration and our highest potential. And right now, I don't feel like you're in your highest potential and you're a big fish in a small pond, or you might be under an illusion that you're some form of free emperor making decisions and in control of your own sort of freedom or your independence here. Okay. Also, I'm getting a lot of this sacral energy. So something about the emotional body is coming through again. Ace of Wands in reverse. I knew it was going to come out because what did I say in this calcification? I saw this Ace of Wands lighting up this stuckness. Is this Ace of Wands. You guys have a lot of red and orange coming through, root and sacral, okay? So there's a fire here towards moving towards something. It's a fire that you're suppressing. A passion, a desire, an intense fire here that gets you going, that gives you a reason to get up. It gives you a reason to become the best version of you, to be alive, to get up in the morning, to do what you do. Nothing can replace this feeling of feeling like dead, heavy, burdened with the 10 wands. And I feel like if you stay where you are, it's like the night and day. From a 10 wand to a 1 wand is like night and day. Okay, and I feel like you're aligning with the 10 wand of burden here in your old world. So we have the Page of Pentacles, which says the Prince of Discs. So the Knight of Discs is the Knight of Pentacles. So that's slow and steady, consistent energy. Okay, over time, we build something that now I'm seeing that 7 Pentacle you had. And I feel like if you invest and give to an old paradigm or an old world, you cannot be in the Knight of Pentacles in the new world. And so your new world could allow you to pace yourself, could allow you to make actual fruitful investments that are solid. Okay. And I don't know if there's fear that maybe it's too fast or too out of control, or I can't handle it, or I don't know. But Spirit is indicating that there is this consistent, slow, and I mean slow, like this is the Knight that can, pack a parachute in the formal official way of how it's supposed to be, or go through, a minefield without hitting any mines and like second checking, triple checking and going slow, but it's still invested in what matters. Whereas the 7 Pentacle energy that had failure, it's like no matter how much you feed sunlight and water to that rock, the rock is a rock. And I think this is the difference here. we're feeding a rock, whereas we could be feeding some sort of dream fire here. Okay, so let's keep going. We have the Knight of Cups. So 2 knights, and this is taking action. This is how we show action. This is offering something solid, putting in our energy or effort or commitment or energy body. And this is how we express ourselves. Okay, so this is taking action on what we love. This is putting our creative ideas into action, onto paper, onto word, expressing ourselves and our deepest desires. There's something you love to make and create, and you're being called to do this, okay? So we have abundance, 3 of Cups in reverse. So I think in the past, because of my past position, the world we knew might have been the fire, might have been the happiness. And so I think it's a rewiring of the mind, because I think we identify the past and the mind still hasn't caught up. It emotionally connects the past with good times or party times or my freedom or my joy or my happiness or my sense of life. It's like we're so identified and woven into that identity of who we are. Again, with that Venus, it's who I am, it's what I've done, and I've been there. And so it could be turning into this like maggot infested world of like death and rot. And we could still be seeing through the veil eyes of what it used to be. And it's like, no, it's not. And no, it's not. It's not. And so the longer we stay buried in the rot and the maggots, the harder it's going to be for us to sort of uncover ourselves from all of that. It's no longer abundant there. It's no longer the source of life. It's no longer bringing in joy and happiness in your soul people. So it's either a community that's just depleted. Spirit saying the universe is no longer going to produce something from that rock. Okay, it's no longer producing. So we have 6 of Pentacles coming out again with success. So very much something that's rewarding. And we must give to it, and we will receive. But in the old world, if we give to the rock, it doesn't matter how long we stay there giving to the rock. It will not produce. Okay, I feel like you're really being called to invest in something here solidly, consistently, as slow as you need to go. But it needs to be in an open flow state. It can't be stuck. It can't be out of stubborn sort of energy. No, I don't want to move. No, I don't want to give. No, I'm closed off to receiving. No, I don't want to acknowledge, because then we're suppressing. Okay, and so we have the 5 of Wands in reverse. So 5 of Wands in reverse can definitely talk again about this surrender. Okay, like I'm surrendering. I'm not up for the fight here, but in your context here, it's like, yeah, not up to compete, or we just feel like we don't have it in us, and we're just like, I give up sort of energy. I give up on my dream. I give up on the fight. I give up on investing in this thing. It's too, the arena of like competition is too grand or too much or something like this. And Spirit is really talking about, you're actually giving up on your own sort of dream. Like there is nothing here to fight. There is just resisting what is for you. And that's the true fight. And so Spirit wants you to acknowledge this, that what is for you flows from a giving and receiving state of balance and harmony, from the truest place of feeling and fire and emotional heart space, that it does not feel like a fight. It does not feel like a heavy lifting. It does not feel like resistance or heaviness or burdensome or anything other than natural. And I think this thing is for you very natural with this divine love, or divine union, sorry. So, and I feel you do love it with this Knight of Cups and this Venus energy. Okay, but there is a need to acknowledge and then accept and then invest in that forward movement, even if it's slow. And understand or review the inner dialogue that supports watering of the rock, or the mind speak that says, I cannot or will not, or I don't have it within me to do this thing, and see where it stemmed from. And you'll be surprised that it's tied back to emotional identity that you have pegged to the past of who you think you are. And that you're pulling you think your power from, and that's not where you get your power from. Then that means you're pulling your power from the wrong source, from an external source or external validation or a community of other people or an external separate self out there that's giving me my perceived power. And Spirit saying, no, this comes from your inner world of power and strength, from a place of true acceptance of what's calling to you, this fire of internal self, and it will guide you. Okay, so we might be very fearful of this whole thing. 7 swords, futility. So this 7 swords is this not being honest with self, suppressing. Like I said, there's a truth that we don't want to see or acknowledge, and we're pretending that it's not us. And when I say pretending, it's like we believe our own 7 swords so strong that this is who I am, this other self, this identity, this facade I'm putting on around me that people think I am. It's not true. That's not who you are. And you might have told yourself that you are, and you really want to believe that for fill in the blank. It's protected me up until now. It's created my comfort. It's made people sort of respect me, or it's done something for you, in the past. It maybe draw people to you, or made you celebrate a part of self in the past or something like this. Now it's just betraying yourself. Now it's just a facade. Now it's just you wearing a mask, an identity that's untrue. Do you want to live in untruth, or do you want to live in truth? Because I think you know the truth. Okay, so pile number 1, this is your reading. I hope this helped you. I love you so much, and I'll see you at the next one. All right, bye. Pile number 2, you guys picked card 32 with the 8th house, endings and beginnings. This card always reminds me of a clown. Like, this is its hair, and then this is its body, like a crazy it clown. I don't know why, but the 8th house is the house of merging, sex, intimacy, shared finances, inheritances, taxes, loans, assets, properties, joint ventures, partners and resources. So this says endings and beginnings. Let's take a look. So what are we looking at? We are looking at the energy of this new moon, partial solar eclipse coming in September 21st. And what is sort of being revealed here by Spirit in regards to your spiritual journey, something you might need to see or understand. This could be quite deep. This could be something that you're faced with, or something that's being revealed to you. Now, keep in mind that sometimes I tap into other people's energy as well, or your situation, circumstance. So this might require you to see from a different sort of perspective or understanding. But the best way to tap into your intuition is to sit through this card layout and ask the divine what you'll see, feel, or hear to determine whether this is your pile or not. All right. And if you want to go straight away to your channel message, I will put the timestamp down below. So let's take a look. We have winter with number 16, or the number 7. So we have Chariot Tower energy coming with the winter. The winter is frozen. Could be quite cold, stuck. It could be, right before a new beginning. So we got both here. Yeah, the ending and the beginning. Interesting. 32 is the number 5, which is about conflict, loss, change. It is the point of rebuild as well. So the positive thing about the 5 is after the change, it's like the new can come. 5 is about adventure and innovation and freedom, challenge. It's also about risk and adventure here. So I feel like if some of you guys resonated, or were pulled, I should say, to pile 1, you might resonate with that energy, because a lot of this was pulled through pile 1. There might be overlap. So we have regret. It says the past cannot be changed, but the future is still in your hands. Remorse, sorrow, and rut with this clock. Regret. Interesting. Scorpio energy pulling through there, by the way. So we have the cardinal. So this could be messengers from the other side, could be loved ones coming to communicate to us with the cardinal. And we have the horse, also very spiritually. This could be talking about telepathy. Okay, so the horse is highly spiritual here with the third eye highlighted. The horses talk about freedom, willpower, independence. Okay, and this one specifically, I see also our psychic ability. I'm getting earth energy, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn from this horse, and some air from this cardinal, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and some Pisces from this third eye energy, and some Scorpio from this death. Okay, so we have the sign of Cancer, your feelings, attitudes from the past about, and use your intuition. Interesting, because we have the intuitive eye here. Okay, and then we have trine sextile with symbiosis 52, or the number 7. Okay, and then we have 51 with Saturn, Chiron. Is that a 1 or a 4? Yeah, 51, so the number 6. Saturn and Chiron. So Saturn's a ruling planet for Capricorn, Aquarius. Okay, and Chiron is the wounded healer. All right. We also have 50 with Saturn. Saturn, interesting. These cards are very shuffled. So we have succession here, 50, 51. Saturn, Saturn, Saturn. Wow, very heavy, 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 heavy with Saturn here. Okay, ruling planet for Capricorn, Aquarius energy. So as we know, Saturn is, having discipline. It's like sacrificing the now for the benefit of the later. Okay, so it's like being determined. It's staying to program. It's even like sacrificing certain things in order to have gain, but it's very challenging and very heavy. Okay, but we all need some sort of Saturn energy to sort of stay structured in some way. But we have this like spiritual side of this Cancer too, which is emotional body and the spiritual body. Okay, but the Saturn could be quite earthy and grounded here. So we have mental loneliness with 77 and 5. So 77 is a master number. Trust the fall and an adventure that arises from deep wisdom, trust of life, and trust of self. Dark night of the soul. It says intellectual disillusionment, emotional detachment, feeling of emptiness, lack of understanding, exasperated isolation, knowledge disinterest. Type 5, the observer, thinking center between interior and exterior. So this is the authentic self-expression. 5 could be talking about the Hierophant, okay, and also temperance. So we have Taurus and Sagittarius energy, but this could be finding balance and healing certain beliefs and certain ways of being with the Hierophant here. Okay. Yeah, very interesting. And then we have in-depth 16 and 7. So like I said, that's Tower Chariot energy, which we were getting from the 16 as well. So 1616, you might be seeing 1616 is an angel number here. It says in-depth, responsibility versus pleasure, painful emotions, focusing, gratitude, fully present, relationship stability. Type 7, enthusiast, thinking center between pleasure and pain with the green ray, which is our heart chakra. We have the throat chakra. And then we have apparition 87 and 6. So it says mystical experience, growth level, vision of guardian angels, synchronicities, inner strength, inner guidance, divine protection, absolute confidence. Type 6, the loyalist, thinking center between mistrust and trust. So all the 6 energy is giving me this Saturn energy, which pulled through. So heavy Capricorn through here, okay? A little bit of Gemini as well. Interesting. And then we have 49 and 4. So we have purification path, ego level, living the ordinary, living in the real world, stopping comparison, personal value, living in the now. Interesting, because we had to be fully present. working together, appropriate emotions. Type 4, the individualist, emotional center between lack and abundance. So we have the spiritual energy with the purple. Okay, but 4 is Emperor energy, which is Aries, and also death energy, which is Scorpio, this endings and beginnings. Okay, 4 is all about foundations, material reality, problem solving, structure, foundation, stability, planning. And then we have from the Blind Spot Oracle, assumptions with 43, or the number 7. All right, so we have 7, 7 here, and 7 here. So, and 7, 7 here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 7s, which could be significant for someone, okay? 77, again, this trust of fall, an adventure that arises from deep wisdom, trust of life, and trust of self. But 7s are all about faith, wisdom, reflection, understanding, integration of shadow for the Chariot energy, and also Tower energy, which is the deconstruction of what? The Hierophant, the beliefs, the structures, the man-made belief systems, identities that we might create based on indoctrination, religion, and that sort of thing, upbringing and traditions. So we have quincunx, and it says no common ground. I'll let you guys take a look at this. Your disconnect. Hard. Saturn, Saturn, Saturn all over the place with this. Okay, let me see. Now, I do want to read this symbiosis with this trine sextile before I channel and see what it says. I will grab the box. Give me a second. Okay, 52. It says, trine and sextile planets promote collaboration by backing one another up, cheering one another on, and adding strength and value to their roles. A trine is formed by 2 planets, 1/3 of the way around the circle from each other, 120 degrees apart. A sextile is half of that, which is 60 degrees apart. Trine planets operate from the same element, fire, earth, air, or water, and speak that language. Sextile planets relate from the same polarity, but in different modalities. Cardinal, interesting, we have the cardinal here. Fixed or mutable. They operate like supportive, non-competitive best buddies. So action. Lean into what is easy and comfortable and use that comfort to renew, grow, and expand. Look for people who have compatible and complementary ideas or skills to yours. Work with your allies. Gently expand your world through compatible people, collaborative skills, and through doing what you love. Look for a person who holds a missing piece of the project and bring them in. Find those who work you approve of and invest in them. Engage family members and friends who really understand you. Explore what you have in common with a beloved and focus on that rather than on your differences, and build out from there. Wander in a favorite landscape and learn from what you find there. Play your favorite music, but on a new instrument. Bring your attention to where the energy flows easily, where support can be found, where enthusiasm exists. Grow organically. When life is hard, a dinner with friends where you can laugh, relax, and let down your guard can be great medicine. What a balm to talk over problems with someone who understands your world view and whom you don't need to explain yourself. Moments of ease can prepare us for the bigger challenges ahead. Challenge. The path of least resistance can be both delightful and limiting. Don't get stuck in a comfortable rut. The gift. Lift one another up and grow. The comfort of compatible aspects can help us build up resources needed to do the hard work and face the tough stuff. Hard work with Saturn. Okay. I think your message is coming through. Let me sit here with this energy. You guys can definitely skip ahead. And I will get into channeling your specific message here. Okay. Pile number 2, beautiful angel. Very difficult energy here, okay? I'm assuming this is your energy, but like I said, sometimes I pick up energy of people around you. This definitely feels to me like someone going through a profound spiritual awakening, okay? And when we go through an awakening, everything that is not us falls away. And I don't know what points where you are with all of this, okay? There's so many layers that we could get into. And we're here in the 3D world. And so our physical reality is what we experience in the 3D physical manifestation. And then there's so much going on, externally in the 5D, in the energy body of different dimensions that are aligning. And most of it makes no sense to us. And why? Because it's foreign to us. I feel like there's a lot of things happening here that are beyond your ability to really do anything about it. Okay, now we did ask about the energy coming in with this partial solar eclipse and this new moon. And so I feel like this messaging is really talking about this acknowledgement and confirmation of this much needed experience you're going through, which is still very challenging. Okay, so Spirit is saying that there are certain things here in the 3D that could provide you with some comfort throughout this process. Don't abandon those and write them off as, especially if you're in a point of your spiritual awakening where maybe nothing feels real, or something might seem like that's the old me, or this is if none of it is real anyway, what's the point? Or it doesn't exist, or it's not my end game, or because I'm completely confused, I don't know if I could sort of trust it. Spirit is saying that there's certain things, commonalities that will be there, okay, when you're on the other side of this sort of shift. And so to utilize these people, these things that you can, as sort of crutches or as strength is okay to do so. Because I do feel like this seems to be an ongoing process for you, like ongoing quite a bit, okay? But what is actually being developed here is your spiritual self, your independence when it comes to your spiritual independence of who you truly are, your truest authentic self, your freedom and your liberation from the Hierophant, from constructs of this world, from certain beliefs, of certain identities you created within yourself. And so you're really connecting to your heart space, your psychic self, the divine, what is true, breaking with unconventionality, certain things, and tying to even your ancestors, tying to your spirit guides. Like all of this stuff is sort of coming online. At the same time, there is this death of self, which is the egoic self, okay, or the, like I say, the dark night of the soul is the release of what we're not, and it's seeing through the illusion of who we're not, and then the acceptance of surrendering that version of us that is not us to the divine, and transitioning to this newer energy. And so you can watch the video I just posted today in regards to your truest self, okay, in my podcast there, A Heart's Way. It's really about this void space that I feel we're going through here, okay, although we might have periods of intense glimpses behind the veil, and we don't have nothing to compare it to. Is this sort of the extent of my experience? Is this me fully healed? Is this disorientation sort of ever going to settle? How much more disorientated do I get? Like all of these questions are totally valid. Okay, but Spirit is saying like there is this process that's happening right now where nothing new can really be built until the old sort of falls away and is released, so that the new can be created based in alignment with truth once we're really tapped in, okay, tapped into the divine, tapped into our purpose, tapped in without any distortion. And so I feel like we're still distorted by feelings, we're still distorted by the 3D, old habits, old paradigms, beliefs, and that sort of thing still. And it's still predicting how we respond and engage, Okay. And when we fall back on that out of a habit, unconsciously or subconsciously, it's creating the suffering. And so there's this conscious decision you can make on who and what can I rely on, even if it is like part of this transitional period, because it might not be something that you discard. It might come forward with you to this new world, okay, or this new healed version of you, or this more ascended, enlightened version of you, whatever you want to call it, this more authentic version of you, okay, this beginning. And so Spirit is sharing there is a beginning, there is a birth, and like every other birth, there's the challenging part of birth that doesn't feel good. It feels very uncomfortable, and it feels like we're giving a lot of ourself, a lot of our time, a lot of our comforts, and it seems to keep asking for more, you know? And it's like, when does this end? And when do I sort of benefit with the freedom? Or when do I benefit within the clarity of the third eye or the psychic gift? Or when do I then benefit with the knowing or whatever? And we're asking for this benefit because then on the other hand, it's like, I'm just here suffering in this sort of upheaval world, not knowing right from left. And in my 5D and 3D are sort of all mishmashed together here. You know, and then we can really trip ourselves up by this intensity of feeling that is still sort of tied or pegged to a past version of us. And so it makes us feel more depressed or more charged emotionally, more sad, more anxious, and all of this stuff. Okay, so now we have regret over here. And so I do feel like Spirit is wanting you to know that whatever has happened in the past is an experience that doesn't dictate who you are here in your future state. And so there is a need to accept the release of attachment to past people, past situations, past experience that is creating specifically the way you feel about yourself. Okay, and so all of your feelings that are uncomfortable, Spirit is identifying here, is attached to a story or a belief of some experience you had in the past, and how you're telling yourself it's tied to who you are or what you're about right here, right now. And that is not true. And so the sooner you can unbind yourself from those stories and those beliefs, the sooner you'll start to feel better, because the emotional body that's tied to that story isn't going to be coming up every time that thought comes through, because you won't believe those thoughts anymore. So you got to depolarize those thoughts, not feed those thoughts as true. And as we do this, we start to thaw a lot of the energy so that new growth can happen and new experiences can happen. And the past could be in the past and released, and the new can be the new. But I feel like right now, the old is still creeped in. That's heavily charged with emotional attachment to how we've seen it and experienced it, and the beliefs and the stories. And then the new is waiting to be birthed. And it's trying to butt up against, okay, but only because we're resisting, fighting, hanging on, picking and choosing maybe what feels okay, what we want to accept, what maybe might not feel good, what we think, you know, enlightenment might look like, or the new might look like this, but not like that, or trying to attach to what we think we should be, or all of this stuff. And this doesn't require any of the human interaction. This doesn't require anything except for observing and being really in tune with what emotion pulls through, and then dispelling any story that is driving that emotional body coming up. I'm talking about contracting feelings, by the way. I mean, if you're happy and peaceful, great, hang on to those feelings, you know. But if we're feeling sadness, loss, regret, resentment, jealousy, disappointment, abandonment, rejection, whatever we're feeling, those are contracting feelings, and we could feel them very intensely, is pulled from a belief of a past experience that we're identifying now with some attachments to self that is being undone. Okay, and I feel like you feel alone in this process. And I feel like Spirit is saying only you alone can undo this. Now, does this mean that you won't have a spiritual team like tarot readers or gurus or other maybe ascended people or people who have experienced similar things. No, but only you can sort of journey inwards. This pilgrimage of hermit is only done by you. The deconstruction of who you're not is only done by you. And I feel like going through this process is your biggest challenge. But I feel like for this group, it's specifically your emotional body that's really being highlighted here. And it's creating this sort of delay, if you will, or this intensity of discomfort. And it doesn't need to be this way. Okay. And so Spirit keeps saying, like, you can either through a meditation process, like sever the emotional attachment you have to past, which is difficult to do because it might keep firing up with the thought. Every time you sit alone in thought, the thought comes up, the emotion comes with it. And so the best way is to be really in the present moment. Now, in the present moment, feelings are going to come up. All of this contracting energy that's been stored on pause, frozen, not allowed to come through. Because either we said, I just want to heal, so I'm moving on, and that's no longer going to exist. And then whenever we're sort of still, it bubbles up. Spirit wants you to do this work, wants you to let this bubbling up come through. Now, doesn't mean feed into that mind story and say it's true. This means feel the fear, feel the regret, feel the shame, feel the anger, feel the feelings, but only feel it. If this means cry, if this means scream, if this means anxiety, feel it in the body, let it play itself out. It will run its course. It needs to be felt out. Okay, it needs to be felt out. And we might be running with the assumption that if I feel that, then that means I'm giving it life, you know? It's like, no, we're draining that energy supply so that we can then be in the present moment without those challenging feelings coming through. And I always give this analogy of like the house. Okay, so the masculine and the feminine would be like healing, okay, because we need to do both. The masculine and the feminine healing needs to happen. And so we have a house, and the house gets flooded, okay, because the water is left on. And so one part of healing would be to open all the doors and the windows to let this water out. Okay, the water must be let out, or else how can we fix this house? So you open the doors and the windows and all the water sort of comes out. But the water supply is still pouring in. Okay, so the second part of the healing would be to go to the water supply and turn it off. Okay, and now we are sort of able to repair this home or work on this home in the new. But if we open the windows and the doors and left the water supply on, we go close the doors and the windows again, that water would build up. And so this is what it's like when we suppress or we don't allow our emotions to go to the root of what created that suffering. Okay, we unload, we might feel anger or cry it out, or I don't know, suppress it however we do, have a beer, have a good time, whatever we do, and let out that sort of energy through an outlet, and then it just builds up again. And we could be in perpetual shadow mode, you know, or shadow work mode, trying to keep healing something that keeps perpetuating. And so we need to find the source of the disappointment or the regret or the shame or the whatever it is that we have. Okay, and we need to acknowledge that in a way here that makes peace with it, that turns off that water supply. And then we can be in the present moment, absolutely ready to tap in, because then you're online. Your third eye's online. You'll be shown. Okay, I think you are being shown. We have cardinal here and we have vision of guardian angels. So I feel like your ancestors and the divine is talking to you through way of, it could be through, if you're seeing cardinals, literally. Okay, but it could be through animals, birds, but this is guardian angels. So I don't know, maybe you're seeing actual, in human flesh, guardian angels. This is synchronicities. So what is that? Numbers, signs, symbols, dreams, divine information coming to you through way of communication, however it comes through. But if you're too distorted, carrying this like water energy, it sort of creates this distortion in the energy that wants to come in. Okay, and for whatever it is that you are shifting into, it requires a clear intuition and a clear channel that is free of all this sort of heaviness here. Okay, and so I feel like there is the being the present when we are no longer burdened or heavied by the deep feels. And the actual situation in that present moment is reflecting back to us how we're truly feeling in that moment. Like it's a true reflection of how we feel. But then we know that we've sort of done what is called of us. Okay, but if we're in the present moment, but it's pulling out a charged emotion that's not representative of that present moment, then we know that we still have some letting go to do. There's still some stuff frozen here. Okay, I feel like we froze certain experiences or certain things we might have not have fleshed out just yet energetically here. Okay, and so I feel like all of this, let's just say seems like it's all very challenging. Okay, to have to sort of navigate this thing, but really the divine is saying it's the feeling that feels heavy, but there is nothing really challenging so much as it is just a heavy feeling of letting it flow through. Okay, because the sooner you let it flow through, then the more crystal clear your intuition is. So let's see, for pile 2 spirit, what is the message here for pile 2 regarding this new moon and the solar partial solar eclipse here energetically for pile number 2? What is the spiritual energy that's coming in or being expressed or seen or shown or understood by pile 2? Oops. So we have the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. It says worry. So your significator was a 5 as well. And like I said, 5 is this conflict. It's this change. Okay, but it's the rebuild of self here. And what is it that pile number 2 needs to know here, Spirit? So we have the Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles. Okay, I think I was reading pages as knights in the pile number 1. The prince is actually page. Interesting. So the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, let's keep going. We have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. So that's an earth energy, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn in reverse. And we have the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. And we have the Lovers in reverse, Gemini energy. Okay, and then we have the Empress in reverse, Taurus, Libra energy. Wow. And then we have the Magician in reverse, Gemini, Virgo. Heavy Gemini, Virgo pulling through your reading. Okay, and then we have the 5 of Cups with disappointment. Okay, this is a very heavy reading, you guys. Okay, so this period of what you're going through, this disappointment, 5 Cups, is this regret, okay? There's a lot of emphasis on the past. The past has to be felt through and released, and then it's a change of mindset, because it's kind of like if you go back to the past constantly, you're keeping the past alive. And once you sort of process the past and let it go, there's no need to sort of revisit, and only you can do this. And I feel like being attached to the past story, that identity and that version of what happened to me or what I did or what I carry or what I didn't do or what I could have done or what I should have done, okay, keeps us in this lack mindset and the scarcity, because we're too full of that vibration. We're carrying that in which is heavy. And then it doesn't allow us with the resource, and it doesn't allow us to pull in new energy or new tool to create anything new. And so we could be really stuck here for a long time until we wake up and we're conscious. And so what Spirit is really talking about here, you can use this energy of this new moon to recognize if you are resonating with this reading. You are going to become conscious. In order for you to take the energy to create the new and manifest the new consciously, You have to recognize the voice that is telling you some story about the past. You're going to process this, cry this out, scream this out, tell yourself whatever you need to, and then be done with this thing. Okay, now we're not resisting it. If you need to spend a week crying this whole thing out, that's fine. Okay, but do not buy into the narration of the belief in which you're telling yourself, because that is the part that doesn't allow you to have the resource of the new energy to create the new. And what is this new? This new Spirit is talking about is your purpose. It is where you're being guided. All of this energy that's happening through you as an experience is because Spirit says you are selected here, okay, at this point in time in your life to roll out some sort of purpose. It's your guided purpose. It's your destined purpose. I don't know what this is. For everyone, it's different. It could be a relationship. It could be a creative pursuit. It could be a career. It could be creating a cure for a disease, whatever this is. It's blocked. Okay, it's only you have the key here. Only you are the master manifester of this divine purpose. But you must be conscious to get here, or else this is blocked. And so what the divine is talking about is it's making you conscious right now. It's removing what is not you. So what is not you? Scarcity mindset, a belief in separation, a belief in lack, a belief in all the things that make me feel contracting, everything that I regret doing, all of the sadness that I carry, all of this stuff is all stemmed from shadow, ego, beliefs. None of it is divine. None of it is you. And all of it's getting in the way of your divine purpose. And so Spirit is saying this is a slow and steady progress. Look at all your Saturn energy. I think you've been here for quite some time. And Spirit is saying, I acknowledge you're making movement, and know that you are making movement every time you understand that you're not choosing a thought in fear. And when you're getting closer to this sort of lover's path is when you're choosing a conscious choice of love. Okay, because I feel like right now there's a heaviness here in a dependency on the 3D world. And there is a lack of self worth when it comes to your innate value, your eternal sort of essence of who you are has to be generated and cultivated from a deep understanding and connecting to your divine nature so that you know your self-worth and you could be overflowing with abundance. Okay, but right now I feel like we don't understand our true self-worth. We don't really connect to true self-love. We're still seeing the universe from this lack mindset, and we're still sort of dependent on the matrix to provide me with my value or my confidence. Okay, so there's a dependency here, maybe on your environment or your community or what everyone says that I am is who I am and what I am. And that is what's untrue. And so all of this stuff is needing to be looked at and fallen away through a process of just sitting with the energy. There's nothing you're going to do with it. You know, you don't have to go to counseling. You don't have to understand it on a Freudian level here or any of this stuff. So Spirit is saying right now, your manifestations are just generating sort of similar sufferings and similar beliefs and similar experiences, and it feels very stuck. And so this doesn't feel to me like I've made peace with something that's really sort of holding us back here or keeping us stuck here for some time. Okay, and just think of it as this thing is being held hostage here. This thing which is calling to you, this ultimate divine purpose, okay, this lover's path, it can only be chosen when you're fully conscious. You can only be ready and prepared and have all the tools in front of you when you are conscious and when you've worked through this energy. Otherwise, we're just sort of stuck repeating, lost in the matrix, telling ourselves the same stories. Okay, I'm not good enough. It's not coming to me. I need this. I need that. These people are right. Okay, all of this stuff. And so I feel like the ending is going to take as long as it needs to, and it won't transform into this beginning until this ending is sort of processed completely, because we need the key and the tool to open up this lover's path. Okay, and so this is the path that you're on. Now I do feel like one final message for you, if you're still here, because that was a crazy message. Pile number 2, what is it that they need to know? What's going to help them? What did I miss? What is it that they're needing to hear right here, right now, Spirit? How do we close out this reading in a way that pile 2 finds value? Something they might want to know about or confirm about that will help them in this journey. The Lovers in reverse, so it's continuing where we left off. So there is something destined for you that is blocked right now, because we're not in a position to choose love consciously, because we're still full of fear, okay? And the fear is looking like stories of the past, shame of the past, regrets of the past, feelings that are frozen in the past that are actually untrue. Okay, the Fool in reverse, so the new beginning is stunted here. We can't move forward. We can't take a risk. We can't, move forward here with the Fool in reverse. So Aquarius energy. What else does pile 1 need to know? And then we have the Four of Swords with Truce. So this is about healing, and this is about being completely centered, grounded, okay, where we feel a secure sense of self. It has to be sitting with the 3 swords, like I said, feeling the pain, sitting with truth, taking your time, reflecting. It can actually mean like sleeping on it, reflecting on it, really not being distracted, because this is where we're getting really centered, where we're not doing everything but looking at the pain or sitting with the truth of what we've experienced in order to heal this thing. Okay, 10 of Pentacles in reverse. This is wealth. And then it's 10 of Swords in reverse, and it says Rune. So 10s are about endings, completions. Okay, ends of cycle, transformation. And so I feel like I said, the ending must happen before the beginning. And I feel like maybe this energy is saying you're frustrated right now. It's like, I just want to start anew. I just want to take this leap, or I just want to know what's out there, what's fresh. Like I want to feel free and baggage free and burden free and just explore and be young and have fun. And everyone loves this beautiful energy because your energy is heavy and Saturn and all of this heaviness, and Spirit is saying this new beginning is sort of held here for you. Okay, you do deserve this beautiful new beginning of being, baggage free and exploring this beautiful destined path. But Spirit doesn't want you to be experiencing the same lessons that you've already had. And so it's not going to put you in similar situations only to experience similar things. What you're going to experience is this new path of what's destined for you that you haven't experienced in the past. But you must close something out here. And I feel like there's something very heavy about matrix, some sort of built structure, some built dependency. You have something that does need to come to an end that you need to make peace with and process fully, an ending, a release, like a true ending of something that was already built, but it's no longer supporting or sustaining you anymore, and it can't. And I think in this pile, you've already sort of understood this, but I feel like we still haven't fully felt the feelings through yet and let it go. So we have the 9 swords in reverse, and it says cruelty. So 9 swords in reverse is dark night of the soul. The anxiety is very loud, the being stuck in one's own mind. Okay, 6 pentacles in reverse with success. And so, we can't choose this lover's path, this new beginning, this exciting sort of path if we're still have the same mind story, the same limitations, the same narrations about what's happened to me in the past. Why? Because it's taking up your life energy. What you can give to this new world, what you can invest, and how you can be open to giving and receiving is distorted. You're a reverse empress, regardless if you're masculine or feminine. Okay, you're reverse empress, meaning you cannot take any more abundance in because you're telling the universe, I don't believe that I'm worthy of it, and I can't hold it anyway, and I'm not deserving of it, and I have no space for it, and nothing's abundant, and I see everything as lack because I have this 5 pentacle mindset. Okay, and so this cannot come. The abundance cannot come. The gifts cannot come. The miracles can't come. The blessings can't come. Okay, now miracles can always happen, but meaning the destined miracle, the path where I'm feeling totally free and unencumbered by anxiety and stress and all these limiting thoughts. This needs to be done by you consciously. Spirit doesn't wave a magic wand and do it for you. The free will, conscious choice of you seeing your own limitation in order for you to open up your energy so you can give to and invest in something that is new Okay, but we must close out to the past. And it's kind of backwards here because your past is here, although my past is here. And it's almost like we got to deal with this, okay? 8 of Cups in reverse, and it says indolence. Yeah, so we're still hung up in situations here emotionally. I think it's just the emotional body, you know? It's like the emotions sort of need to catch up now, because I still have an attachment to the past emotionally that's still lingering here. And this is where we're with the Empress in reverse and this 8 Cups in reverse. It could definitely mean where I'm just putting everyone else ahead of me, and I'm not choosing my own emotional happiness in this present moment, what would actually make me happy. And so I keep making myself unhappy by telling myself that that's what I deserve, or even if I'm not telling myself, in a way of the reverse magician, that's what I'm manifesting, is more things that show me I'm unworthy of emotional happiness, more things that show me that I'm behind everyone or everything because of my action. And my action is invested in past pain, and how I'm talking to myself, or how I'm invested in the past story, how I feel about the past story, what I believe about the past story, and how I was seeing myself as being sort of tied to that. That needs to get undone, all of that heaviness, okay? Or else we can't move forward. We can't walk towards the new. That's what's being healed. Yeah, 3 swords. So we need to process the 3 swords, okay? This is where someone's words, actions, intentions, or lack thereof, created pain and suffering. So I feel like there's some truth that we're still not accepting or seeing about what we've experienced. And it could be, when you strip it all away, creating that belief you have in yourself of unworthiness. You know, that's really the root of your suffering here, because I feel it's not allowing you to end something. It's not allowing you to walk away from something. It's not allowing you to be honest about something. And I feel like it's creating this 3 swords. And as long as you carry a 3 swords, Spirit says you cannot be a magician with the right tools in order to walk this lover's path. So lover's path is destined for you. And you can't choose love when you're still full of fear or anxiety or stories here of untruths, okay? And so this doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We still need to flesh out this pain, but the pain is only as much as we believe it to be a story, you know? It's impossible to feel contracting feelings like, let's say, deep, deep sorrow when we're thinking of something happy. You can't cry. You can't feel sad. And so it's the beliefs here that are making the pain. I believe I'm bad. I believe I missed out, or I didn't do the thing, or I should have, woulda, coulda, you know? No, shoulda, woulda, coulda energy, shoulda, woulda, coulda energy, shoulda, woulda, coulda. And now I feel bad about it. And I'm in lack mindset. And now everything is stunted in my present moment and in my future because I can't get past this feeling. It needs to be healed. Okay, 5 of Wands. Yeah, and so there's a lot of inner turmoil, strife, conflict, and it could be a bunch of different voices. You know, it's the voice of the Hierophant, which we were feeling here. And it's like, maybe we told ourselves some untruth long ago, and it's our parents' voice of how we had to be, or we were bad if we did this, or this is the way it should be, or this is the way I need to be, or all of these shoulda, woulda, couldas again. Okay, and it creates all of these conflicting things that keep us sort of in this frozen state. And so Spirit is saying the thought isn't important, but it will point you to the belief. And so if there's a reoccurring thought, it's pointing to a belief that needs to be examined. And if it's emotionally charged, then that belief needs to get undone, because those emotional charges are creating the vibration of your energy, which is manifesting the same thing again. And it's keeping you in a stuck energy. That needs to be healed. Okay? I hope this made sense to you guys. Pile number 2. This is your reading. I love you guys very much. We have Aquarius and Gemini coming through with this round, and I will see you guys at the next one. Bye-bye. Hello, gorgeous angel. Pile number 3. You guys picked the card of Venus, love, and the 6th house with routine, number 30 and number 4 for your picks. And we're going to be taking a look at the energy of the new moon / partial solar eclipse And what it is, the Spirit's wanting to reveal to you in regards to your spiritual journey, some greater, deeper truths here that's being revealed to you regarding this energy, this shift, or coming with the energy of these planetary shifts. Now, keep in mind that this is timeless, okay? So you don't have to be watching it at the time of the new moon / partial solar eclipse, but this is the energy around you. And so we're looking at this. You can definitely skip ahead if you want to go straight away to your channeled message, although I do include this part so that you can develop your intuition. There's no fast track to developing an intuition unless you're touched by the finger of God, okay? So ask for what you'll see, feel, or hear to determine whether this pile is your pile and whether it resonates for you. That's the best way to develop your intuition, okay? If you are in tune with intuition, want to go straight away to your message, you can go straight away to the channeled message. So let's take a look, beautiful people. We have the yellowing with card number 14, Sagittarius energy, Temperance energy here. So the yellowing is the dying off of something. And I do feel with this yellowing too is like, you know, the dying off, like when something's yellowing, like it must have hurt, you know, like a bruise when it goes yellow. It was painful at one point. It's sort of healing now. Something's healing with the snake. It's healing. And so there must have been some form of a pain here for something to be hurt. Something must have hurt in order for there to be a healing from, you know. So Venus is obviously the planet of love. We have 4, which is structure, foundation, stability, planning. 4 is also Emperor energy, which is Aries, and death, which is this yellowing the die off of something, case Scorpio energy. And then we have this 3, which is Empress. Okay, so Taurus and Libra. 3 is also Hangman, which is a change of perspective and the world. So 6th house, it says routine. The 6th house is health, finances, systems, and analytical nature, pets, work habits. It's about service given. Interesting. All right, we have control. By letting go of the illusion of control, we open ourselves to genuine freedom. And it says domination, manipulation, and power. Okay, and then we have the shadow of Tiger. So in this deck, I do believe this talks about, it's kind of like Eros energy, like the passion and it could be sexual fire, but that's also their creative fire or life force energy here with Tiger. But Tiger in Kim Cran's Animal Oracle deck talks about the divine feminine, you know? So let's see how this plays in. And we have the lion. Oh my goodness, 2 felines here. Okay, lion. My stomach's gurgling. I don't know if you guys heard that. Lion is talking about courage. Okay, but the lion, it gives me the strength card in the tarot. So it could be talking about ego. Okay, strength is the ability to know when to face certain things and when to not to take action. It's kind of this temperance energy we were feeling, you know, not go guns a-blazing, but not be too held back with this lion. And so this could be very ferocious, sort of fiery energy. So we have some Leo and some Aquarius energy pulling through. And then we have air energy with the butterfly. So Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Butterflies talk about freedom, liberation, transformation. Final state here of the transformation is butterfly. Wow. And then we have the planets of, well, it says planets, but it's the South Node. It says there will not be anxiety about and trouble. Wow. Okay, so South Node's the past. Where we come from, past experience. And then we have the 12th house with introspection, the number 50 or the number 5. Okay, 5 is about change, conflict, loss, rebuilds, adventure, innovation, risk, freedom, challenge, introspection. This could kind of be the South Node energy too, where we come from, reflecting. Okay, and then we have 25 with Mercury and Chiron, or the number 7. So Mercury is a ruling planet for Virgo, Gemini. Chiron is the wounded healer. Speaking about some sort of healing here. 7 is Chariot, so it could be the integration, how we fully express something authentically about our pain or about our healing. 7 is about faith, wisdom, reflection, understanding, spirituality, personal growth. Okay, it's also Tower energy. So we have 1 with being perfect, a veil of ignorance, ego level, perpetual dissatisfaction, critical judgment, rigidity, austerity, unexpressed anger. Wow, well, this would be the opposite of this sort of thing. Okay, difficulty having fun. Type 1, the perfectionist instinctive center between control and letting go. So 1 is this Mercury energy, Virgo, Gemini energy. And then we have 106 with evangelizing. Number 7, this came out in yesterday's reading, I think. Return to the world, growth level. It says celebrating diversity, innovative ideas, good news, teaching resilience, educational projects, spreading well-being. Type 7, enthusiast thinking center between pleasure and pain. So there's that 7 again. 7-7. Okay, 7-7, trust the fall, an adventure that arises from deep wisdom, trust of life, trust of self. We have the heart chakra here. There's this Cancer energy with the Chariot pulling through, and then the Tower. I'm also feeling this this energy from that. This is like turning our pain into some sort of healing tool, you know, spreading this, teaching this messaging of sorts here. It's some sort of freedom in something, you know, where it was really once suppressed or once not acknowledged with this unexpressed anger. Okay, and then we have being useful. Number 2, Pisces energy, veil of ignorance, ego level, root chakra here. So it says need of recognition, rescuer syndrome, helper's pride, self-forgetfulness, veiled own needs, affective dependence. Type 2, the helper emotional center between giving and receiving, control and letting go, and control. Interesting. Okay, and then we have enabling with 65 and 11 and the blind spot oracle, I should say. So 11 is a master number, divine inspiration, synchronicity, and the encouragement to keep going. I'm holding an 11 in my hand. 11. Okay, some of you guys might resonate being on a twin flame journey because 1111 is my symbol for twin flames. Okay, but it's mirroring souls. It's about union with self. It could be your masculine, your feminine, and coming into balance, which is this temperance energy. Okay, so 11 says here, house of the friends. So the 11th house is groups of friends, social awareness, humanitarianism, which I was feeling from this energy here. Okay, technology, hopes, wishes for the future. Oops, I just dropped something. All right, so interesting. I didn't know it talks about the tarot here. The 5, 6, 7 of swords talks about the 11th house. All right, soul tribe energy here. Okay, let me tap into this. Okay, you can click on the channeled message if you want to go straight away to that. There's a lot going on here. So 6th house and 11th house. Sense of usefulness. Interesting. Okay, beautiful people. More will be clear when I do the tarot because I do have some questions here in this group. Okay, but some of it is already very clear and some of it's overlapping. Not all of it might be something that resonates for you, but it should be the overall energy here. If this isn't your energy, it could be energy around you, although I do feel I'm reading for your energy. So there's something here really that you're delivering to the collective here. And I don't know at what stage you're sort of at. Okay. And we're asking about this new moon / this partial solar eclipse energy that's coming in. Okay. And so some of this might be unfolding in front of you or providing you with this new energy to encompass this sort of a, I don't know, this more clear understanding of your purpose or your guidance towards what this looks like, because I do feel like something is shifting here and it's becoming clear to you. Now, it's kind of piecemeal here because I feel like it's coming through as an unexpressed anger, but I feel like it's a part of self that was suppressed is really what's coming through. Okay, and this is being perfect. So we know when we're held back or we're not quite taking action on some sort of thing is because it's either not understood or inner experienced or fully bought into. Okay, and we could have false ideas or stories or beliefs like it must be perfect before I move forward, or I still have this idea that I don't want to let go of, that I think I know better than the creator, the divine, like this could be as simple as I have an idea, I want to run with this project or unleash this thing, but it must look like that. And then we never write that book, or we never create that podcast, or we never create that YouTube channel, or we never go on that date, or we never take that job. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's not doing the thing that I expected it to look like. So we could be completely fixated on that. And then this new energy sort of allows us to see that it isn't going to be how we thought. Okay, but I think we make peace with something here because I feel like it was an unhealthy way. Okay, I say unhealthy. I don't know. It was definitely our journey of how we would engage. This is saying rescuer syndrome, because I do feel like there is this, it feels almost like a martyring type of energy, but really at the end of the day, it's where we find our purpose in some fashion, and it's how we are of service. And so you might have been invested in a place that was misaligned for you. I don't know what that looks like. Giving to a relationship, invested in a community, building some garden somewhere, I'm talking metaphorically, building someone else's garden, working for someone else's business. I don't know. And then waving that flag, and really wanting maybe to be the hero there, or to create the story there, or to make it work there. And it's like, no matter how much we wanted to, be Chinese in China, we weren't Chinese in China. I don't know why I said that, but it's like you're still the Australian. You cannot be Chinese, even if you wish it. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go to China, but you cannot be what you're not. And I feel like there was you trying to be something here. And I think you had good intention, because I feel like you were trying to, I think you were trying to do something, but I feel like deeper than what you were trying to do here, there was an ulterior motive of something, though, for self in some capacity here. Okay. And I feel like some sort of truth through a painful acceptance, and it could be we either learned the hard way, or we really had to work through releasing control, or seeing that we had no control, or we really had to reflect on experience of failure, or that it wouldn't work, or no matter how much I wanted to be that, that thing that was misaligned. It's like I really had to accept that isn't who I am, and that's not how it will be. And so I feel like there's a profound revelation, acceptance, and this comes with true liberation. And now I feel like there's a final form coming here. Okay, now I don't ever feel like we're at the end of our journey and completely sort of this enlightened, ascended version of self that no longer is growing, is completely healed and whatever. But your specific experience here, whatever this is to you, I feel like this final sort of chapter in that, where you're free now, I feel, to actually take what you were utilizing, your skill or tool or voice, your healing energy, where you were sort of channeling it in one area. So let's say I really wanted to be a chef, and so I was channeling all of my energy into cooking, And it's like nothing wrong with wanting to do the thing we want, but it's like, let's say your truest purpose is to be a painter, and we just couldn't explore the painting, because we were so wrapped up in the cooking. And it wasn't that we didn't like painting. It was that we really sort of maybe had some underlying reason why we had to stay there and cook, Maybe it was our connection to food, or our relationship to food, or understanding with food, or what food did for us or does for other. And that was more of what we were understanding, rather than the fact that we were being of service in the culinary field. I don't know if this makes sense to you. Okay, but I feel like there's an alignment here through a recognition, through where your resources and your truth is actually better aligned to servicing something. Because I do feel like the thing that you were supporting or servicing, I think, was creating more stagnancy, more delay. Obviously, when we're misaligned, it's going to delay our growth, it's going to delay our progress, but it might even delay those in which that community sits. So that community can't grow, or that community is under one sort of paradigm, you know? And so I think there's so many moving parts here, because I feel like by you, I don't know, it feels like a process of shedding what's not you. Because it's not necessarily an 8 of Cups, and it's kind of like a death, okay, which is a release of what's not you. But I don't feel like you're up and leaving so much as you are releasing and transforming. So this is why this energy is kind of interesting, you know, because when we up and leave, let's say, an 8 Cups, it's like the whole environment changes. We're no longer at that workplace. We now walk to another. And this doesn't mean that you're not like changing your environment, but to me, it feels like your environment might be the same, but your whole purpose and your devotion and where you're invested is different. And I feel like by doing this, it's like now your environment supports you differently, or maybe people who used to support you in like that cooking way now can support you as a painter if they want to, you know, obviously, because I feel like now we're opening the door to the true tribe who's supposed to support me in my new exploration. And I feel like the only reason why maybe we weren't taking this jump or this thing is because maybe also it was like difficulty accepting. It could be imposter syndrome, or a truer version of me would be a more, just a different version that I'm not used to, you know? And so maybe we were playing small, or we were accepting less than we were, or, this is enabling here because I do feel there was something dysfunctional about staying where we were staying, supporting that system, that community, that belief, or that world. And then there was this new energy, or there is this new energy, because I feel like this new energy is like, whoa, I learned from that, and I can now speak to this, and now I can welcome sort of what's new here. And I think there might have been a lot of attachment to the settling would give me control. I have too much anxiety about the new. The unknown might be scary, you know? And now it's like there's this, because with the temperance and like I was saying, strength, it's like this energy of like, it's a very beautiful balanced energy, because it's not, I'm just going blindly into the unknown here, totally following my heart's content and desire. It's like I'm very discerning, but I've learned a lot, and I know when I can do and be and say, but I also know what I've learned from being too held back or too fearful. And I also know what the cost of just listening to sort of this inner beast and letting it go wild, and sort of what that might manifest as. And I also know the cost of not listening to my desires and what that looks like. There seems to be this very beautiful understanding. Okay, and I'm seeing the chakra systems here, and they're all seeming very aligned, because I do feel like with this temperance, it's something about a very beautiful, balanced, aligned self. Okay, and when I laid the cards, I had 11 in my hand, and I was putting down this 11, and I said 11 here could be this balanced self of union, because I do feel like there's some sort of balanced energy that comes through here through a process of what didn't work and what I had to release. And as long as we're attached to control, we go down a path that is sort of forced by an identity we create. And so I think I'm doing something that's controlling an outcome. And we're always led to a disappointment because, as we know, there is no such thing as control. When we control something, we create a lot of anxiety because what if it goes this way? What if it doesn't work out? And then we must upkeep some sort of heaviness or some resistance and only sort of ward off what's going to go against it and then try to seek and attach and form what we think is going to help it. And so it's very exhausting because what's for us isn't going to weigh anything. And so I feel with this Venus, like I talk about, for me, Venus is, for me, it's first house. Okay, although I know Venus is second, but for me it's first because I do feel like it's always this appearance we put on. For me, it's like this first impression or this identity, you know, and I think it's the identity of who we thought we had to be to please other. And so we could have adopted this belief that I must be useful doing this, you know, or I can only be of service by doing it this way, being very rigid in how we show it. And it's like, well, this means that I'm successful, or this means that I'm in line with authenticity to truth of what I love. Meanwhile, it's like, are we sure that we've reflected here and what different flavors this could manifest as, rather than hanging on to or trying to control or trying to fit something into some sort of belief structure, you know? So I think there's a lot of integration of parts of self that maybe were difficult to accept, and feeling more liberated, feeling more in line with authenticity, feeling more useful. And I think pulling the plug from anything that was enabling something that was, I don't know, like discouraging, debilitating, painful, misaligned. It needed to be released, something maybe that was just a routine, stagnant, stuck. I feel like there was something that was maybe very routine or stuck in some way, you know? But this is all about where are we investing our energy? And unless we're consciously aware of what we're investing in and how it's maybe, you know, I say damaging to us or just creating stagnancy or stuckness, and if we're consciously sort of investing in new exploration or new growth or developing new aspects of self, it's like we want to always sort of check where we're misaligned, because I feel like there was a misalignment that was going unchecked, and maybe it was checked, but it was through a need for control. And it's like, okay, I must relinquish this control and just sort of work with spirit here, you know? I feel like there was a push-pull. I'm seeing, again, the temperance, because I'm seeing these two sort of facing each other. And it's like neither one of these solely on their own is going to be enough to drive peace and happiness, like this tiger, you know? And then we have this lion. And I feel like there's this knowing when to move forward and when to not be in an energy maybe that of total forward movement when we need to be still. Let's see, Spirit, what is it that I'm picking up here? Because I can't put my finger on something here. So clear and concise message for pile 3 in regards to this new moon energy, this partial solar eclipse. And what is it that pile 3 is needing to know? What is it that I've missed here in regards to this spiritual truth or this revelation or this energy that's coming through with this energy? So we have the Knight of Swords in reverse. We have the Eight of Cups in reverse. Remember I said it didn't feel like an 8 cups, but it felt like a death. Oh my goodness, you guys just heard me say that, right? I didn't even see I was holding death. I didn't feel like an 8 of cups. It felt more like a death. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, Scorpio energy. Why is this Knight of Swords here in reverse? Art, which is the Temperance. Oh my gosh, you guys. All the cards I'm telling you guys about here is coming out in this reading. So 8 of Cups, it says indolence. We have the 3 Empress, or I was going to say 3 Swords. Wow. And then the 7 of Pentacles. Oh my goodness, Empress energy, Taurus, Libra. And look at these two sort of twins here, okay? This Temperance. Okay, and why is Death here? Scorpio energy in reverse. Six of Wands, victory. Feel this one. Five of Cups, disappointment. Okay, and then we have the Hermit, Virgo energy. And don't read bottom of the deck reverse. Under that, we have the Page of Cups. I was reading pages as knights in the first pile because this is Prince, and I didn't know the princes were pages. So, Page of Cups, the Hermit. Okay, let me sit here with this energy for a little bit and tap into what this is talking about. Okay, it's the same sort of energy here, but we do have new insights, okay? Beautiful angel. I feel like this energy coming in with this new moon, okay, is bringing revelations of a true, deeper understanding. It doesn't matter how long we've been on this hermit's path or how well we might have known each other. There could have been just a challenge in facing something here or accepting something, okay? There's something here that I feel has been something that was needing to be understood in a different way in order for there to be a release. Something that might have kept us feeling very stuck, but also I think it was getting in the way of our true abundance, like who we are and our own value. And I feel like you were invested, like I said, in cooking when you were really a painter, you know, giving to something here. And I feel like we might have experienced disappointment or failure or just no fruit, no abundance in that activity. And it doesn't matter how much abundance you are or you're about. It's like giving abundance in a way here that might be enabling and not generating something of value is kind of wasteful in some way. Okay, I feel like you might have been engaged in something wasteful in some way here that kept you stuck, or it wasn't reflecting back to you your value. I feel like it is difficult to release or let it go or come to terms with some sort of end of something here. I feel like you're finally coming to some sort of victory through this understanding, but I feel it's coming from a place of love from the heart space. So I don't feel like it's a resistance or a rejection of something here. Okay, but I do feel like there is a disappointment that comes with this because I feel like this might have been something that you were trying to, again, with this enabling, like trying to make happen, you know? But as long as you were trying to make this happen, there was a stunted effort towards what you could make happen because I feel like you have the ability to engage with and move with things that are flowing with you, that are abundant, that do highlight your victory, that can appreciate you. Because I feel like you're being called to be appreciated. And there's lots here about House of Friends, this acts of service with this sixth house routine. This is like how other people see you and celebrate you and appreciate you. And you're being sort of appreciated here, like reflected back to you, this value. And I feel like you might have been in a world that was not and could not. And maybe it was trying to control the victory there. And so I feel like what that lesson did or what that experience did was help you to find a form of balance. Okay, because I do feel like with this Temperance, which I was feeling very strong, is, well, it's a healing card, but it's also a card of transition from one old world to a new world. And so we might have had to start in the cooking class in order to learn what we needed to learn experientially, so that we can go to this new world of painting. Because I feel like there's this version of you that has learned discernment, balance, that has learned to take the good with the bad, but also there is this acceptance of what can't be in a way that maybe we still, again, couldn't, I don't know, like part with or release or come to terms with, you know? And it's like, no matter how much we want it to be, again, like Chinese in China, it's like we're still Australian in China. Like it won't change a thing here. So I don't know, like I feel there is this like feeling like disappointed almost that, well, I couldn't be that, but it's like everyone else sees you in this beautiful, like successful way. And it doesn't matter if other people sort of say, wow, like you're successful, or look at you. And it's like, yeah, but I feel like I let myself down, or I feel like this disappointment in myself, like these are two different energies. And I feel like we might have to work through our way, like what does success actually look like for us? And are we internalizing certain things we cannot do, or we haven't been able to accomplish, as something that is a reflection of our disappointment or failure? And how do we find this sort of middle ground here between maybe how others see us, or this like egoic perception? Okay, this is this Venus energy that I was talking about, how others sort of see us. And I feel like there's something going on in the surface here with us, that others might not see about us. And so what is the truth, And Spirit is really talking about you sort of sitting and understanding on a greater, deeper level here through the heart space, so that you can see your true nature. Because by connecting to true nature, you'll then know where to invest or move towards or act towards, and not stay maybe in situations that are dead end or emotionally depleting, or that have a dead end. Like there's nothing more here, unless you're trying to control something here. So I don't know if this is fully making sense. So we're going to pull some more and just sort of see what it is that Spirit wants to, how Spirit wants to tie this message all together. Spirits, what am I missing? Can we tie this message all together for the viewer that's tapped into pile number 3? Can we close out this reading? What am I missing exactly? What is this message? And what is it that pile 3 is needing to know about this energy coming in with this new moon that I've missed? So we have 7 swords. So that's that false identity. Okay, trying to be the cook when we're the painter. So we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse. It's called the Prince of Discs. Was getting in the way of this new opportunity, because you can only sort of, again, be like an open channel and direct it towards, like if you're a cook, like sure, you can paint and cook at the same time, but it's like you can only really divert your energy in one direction at a time. So either you're a part-time cook and a part-time artist, or you're totally sort of invested in your art, The Wheel of Fortune in reverse. The 5 of Swords, it says defeat. Yeah. And the Ace of Swords, a greater truth. And then finally, why is this Wheel of Fortune here? The 5 of Pentacles, and it says worry in reverse. Okay, and then we have the 9 of Pentacles, gain. And then the Aeon, which is judgment under that. Okay, let me sit here with this for a sec here. Okay, beautiful people, wherever you were feels misaligned. I think you finally see it or understand it, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt nonetheless, because I feel like wherever you were really trying to give it a good effort, I feel like if you stayed there, you would know that it is either misaligned or not in your greatest, highest truth. It's like you'd have to pretend to be something you're not, or you'd have to sacrifice something, or even play small, or not be your full self in some way. You might have to withhold, or you might have to not go fully flowing the way you want to flow. Like there's something about either moving in a flow state that's natural and normal and healed and beautiful, or being too held back or too reserved or moving too fast. Like it's like the pace of whatever you were doing didn't feel like it matched truly, because I do feel like it was creating some form of conflict. And so this could really be looking like sabotage. And it's like, do I stay here and sabotage an outcome for myself? Because I feel like there is some sort of destined thing that was calling to you. And if you stay put, you stay sort of stuck in this world, a challenged world that was getting in the way of your independence or your gain or your potential outcome here. This is your confidence. This is you fully on your own, knowing your self-worth, building something and seeing it and understanding it and not getting in the way of this thing. Okay, I feel like this is what you're seeing, is like where you were getting maybe in your own way of this opportunity, where the masks that you would wear to fit in or to belong, or what didn't belong, or what was getting in your way, or who was getting in the way of this, or what you were enabling or supporting that wasn't truthful or authentic or aligned, is like, no, like I must be honest. I cannot do this no more, or I cannot give to this, or I can't stay here because it's now too debilitating, or it's now very apparent to me that it's misaligned. It's not authentically me. And if I have to continue here, I would be doing a disservice or an injustice here to those people or this place or this thing. And I think it was creating tension, or it has created tension, or there is going to be some sort of thing that happens that shows this, you know? It's like maybe someone acts out of line here, or we get into a clear understanding that it's just, wow, like this is a community that doesn't get me, or I just don't get it anymore, you know, or just where we have two different value systems, or it's just these struggles here. It's like I can no longer sort of gain here anything from a personal perspective, and even in the emotional suit with the Eight of Cups in reverse, is no longer emotionally fulfilling, and it's getting at the block here of a new potential if I stay here. And so the truth is to, I think, accept the truth. I think there's going to be an honest communication. I think there might be a cutting away of a community, or, like I said, a release of something here. And I feel like the universe is saying, ooh, the sooner we sort of break free and release, then the sooner we could sort of move in line with what is meant for us here. Okay, and it breaks us out of this like Five Pentacle, because I feel like your environment was challenging you. But only you could stay there. Only you could make these decisions. You know, only you could see the great truth. Or only you could accept some greater truth. And I think you were maybe, I don't know, lying to yourself for some time, or maybe, like I said, had good intention that it would be something, or it could be something, or it should be something, or it was just a playground for healing. With the Temperance is like, I was learning discernment. I was learning how to heal. I was learning how to play nice. I was learning about this community. I was learning something, healing something, transitioning from something. And that's like, okay, now I'm ready for this new beginning. I'm ready to be in line with what Spirit wants me to experience here, because the only way that I can do this is by releasing and coming out of the state of lack, or that environment or that energy that was restricting me. Yeah. Six of Cups, pleasure, beautiful. So Six Cups talks about a person, place, thing of the past. Okay, but I feel like this is your soul calling, because I do feel like by this Wheel of Fortune and the Six Cups, I think you're really in the Six Wands. You're being called to do something. Okay, like be of service somewhere and give of yourself somewhere. And it would be robbed of that if you continue down the path where you were. So if you were like a janitor, you were being called to be a lawyer. If you were like a car mechanic, maybe you were being called to be a doctor or something, you know? It's like, I don't know, you were with one sort of family, and it's like, well, you have more to learn and offer in this other family. Because I do feel like it's a calling that's really rooted into some sort of soul contract or understanding, but I feel like it's breaking a cycle as well. Queen of Cups, beautiful. Yeah, so it's your creative passion that really speaks to your heart through this beautiful creative energy. Okay, so I think emotionally it's fulfilling, it's deep, it's profound. I feel like with the Eight of Cups in reverse, if you stayed where you were at, I think you were sacrificing some of your emotional happiness. And I feel like it's an ability for you to give love, for you to receive love, for you to be experienced here and be tapped into this beautiful, innocent heart space. Whereas this other place seems very swordsy, you know, feels like fake to me, you know, or a fake version of who you are. I mean, maybe it's real for someone else, but it's misaligned to you. It's not your truth. And I feel like this builds upon your sense of self, your independent self. Ace of Wands in reverse. That's this opportunity that was stifled or stunted here as a result of staying put. So I think you're seeing this. Okay, this judgment, this self node, I feel like, and this introspection is like, upon reflection, upon honest truths, I can now see where I'm actually held back or where I'm blocking this opportunity. And I'm needing to just accept that I cannot force control elsewhere when the wheel wants me to accept something else. Okay, so yeah, this is your message. That was very interesting. I hope this resonated for you, beautiful people, and I will see you at the next one. All right, bye-bye.